It's the Super Bowl. I don't care. We're streaming in blokes for fantasy basketball on Sunday. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and mammoplasty, yes. Vaginoplasty, yes. Rhinoplasty, yes. Laryngoplasty, yes. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky at joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Go to FanDuel.com. Check it out. Also, go to LockedOnDaily.com and sign up for the best NBA newsletter for your favorite NBA team. It's at LockedOnDaily.com. You can also double bang this video, listen on the audio side as well. Subscribe and follow and share and comment, and subscribe and follow and share and comment. You can do that twice. That's a secondary way to double bang. All right, we are here on, it's my Sunday here. It's getting ready for Sunday's games in the NBA. Super Bowl Sunday. I've got a very important question for you. It is National Pizza Day, if you weren't aware, which, I don't know, that's an interesting day to have, National Pizza Day. I don't associate pizza or National Pizza Day with the Super Bowl. I'm also not American. Of course, I've watched the Super Bowl many, many, many times and followed the NFL very closely for years, right? But I want to know this. Here's something for comments. Hashtag engagement. What's your favorite Super Bowl food? What's your Super Bowl food of choice? If you had to choose one thing, don't tell me it's like a 3-layer dip. Those things look terrible. Not that. Right? What's your number? If you had one thing to have food watching the Super Bowl, what is it? Drop it in the comments. Because the Super Bowl is on, we've only got 3 NBA teams playing. That is it. That's all we got. But the timing is what's important, because they're all going to be done by the time the Super Bowl starts. So we've got a 1 p.m. Eastern game. We have got, I think we've got actually one 1 p.m. Eastern game, and then 2 p.m. Eastern games. So those games are going to be over by, if it starts at 2, it's over by 4:30 p.m. Eastern, I'm guessing. Yeah, that sounds about right. Is that right? Yeah, no, that's right. That's right. I'm just trying to get my times right. Yeah, that's about right. So we've got one early game, which is the Hornets and the Pistons. That's at 1 p.m. And then we've got the 2 p.m. games, which is actually a 1 p.m., both a 1 p.m. Central game. So all we've got is 1 p.m. games. So Pistons first, 1 hour. Pistons, Hornets first, 1 hour later. Actually, the Pistons, that's Central Time as well. Detroit Central Time? I think it is. Anyway, I'm trying to work out my time zones. So I think that's midday Central, Detroit, hosting Charlotte, and then we go Toronto in Houston and Philadelphia in Milwaukee. That's our games. All right, good. All right, so let's get into these games. Let's start talking about who we're going to stream in for these 3 games. We'll just give a quick sort of injury update of what we need to watch for. This is a back-to-back for a couple of teams where it's important. Milwaukee and Charlotte. That's really important, because we know that there are players, Giannis, who's missed 3 consecutive games, who is probably not going to play both of these games. We have got LaMelo Ball, maybe even Miles Bridges in Charlotte, who you would think it's probably unlikely that they play both of those games as well. So when we're paying attention to who we're streaming in on Sunday, again, we've only got 6 teams playing. Be aware that we may have absences in Charlotte or in Milwaukee for those 2 teams, but they're also the teams that we can try and find the guys that play both days to get a leg up into the next week. Now, there are 10 games on Monday, so you may or may not have a streaming spot. So have a look what your roster looks like. How does it shape up? Will you have an open streaming spot on Monday? Because if you don't, then getting one of those back-to-back guys means absolutely nothing to you. It doesn't mean a single thing. We've also got the Rockets coming into Sunday on a back-to-back. So there's risks of guys not playing, mainly Tari Eason and maybe Steven Adams. So we just keep an eye on that as well. If you are here playing fantasy points leagues, we're going to start with you guys with 6 names for Yahoo Points leagues and 6 names for ESPN Points leagues. I'll give you the tip. They're the same names. We'll start with Yahoo. And the number 1 player on this list is Moussa Diabate. We do not know what impact Jusuf Nurkic is going to have, if any. Does Nurkic start? Remember, Diabate had not been starting for this team, except for last game. They'd started Taj Gibson every time. And then this is what always I find weird about coaches, right? I think some of the stuff they do is incredibly dumb and rooted in patterns that don't make sense. Whereas when they had Mark Williams and he would sit, they go, right, I'm starting Taj Gibson and I'm keeping Moussa Diabate in the bench unit. Which, of course, is nonsense because it doesn't hold your rotations. Because guess what? Diabate doesn't play 17 minutes and Taj Gibson didn't play 30 minutes as the starter. So you had to mix them up anyway. So it was ridiculous. But once they traded Mark Williams, they didn't go with that pattern, meaning to me that maybe they're not holding that starting spot for Nurkic. I'm trying to play into their ridiculous patterns of behavior. So the fact that they elevated Diabate there makes me think that Diabate may start. Now, he may not. He's got incredibly limited offensive game. He's also not this high-level prospect. He's a two-way guy who's like 25 years old, drafted 3 or 4 years ago by the Clippers, who was a two-way contract player. And I believe he's still on a two-way contract. That's not going to stick. He's going to be converted off that. We actually got someone converted off the two-way today. Justin Edwards in Philadelphia. Like, Diabate's got 7 games left. He's going to get converted. I can pretty much assure you of that. KJ Simpson's got 17 left, and Isaiah Wong's got 27 left if they're the Hornets two-way guys. Maybe at some point we'll do a two-way tracker show. I'm sure that'll gain all of the views. That's what people look for. That's the big SEO, is like how many games have two-way players got left. Maybe I'll do that. That's an all-star break show just to get the viewers in, all 10 of them. So Moussa Diabate. Moussa Diabate is the Yahoo Points stream guy that I like. These are all at least 60% available. Diabate should just be grabbed. If Nurkic impacts him, so what? That's okay. We'll deal with that then. The next guy we look at is Dylan Brooksy Brooks. Dylan Brooks, we know he's going to play. Dylan Brooks can pop off at any point. He can do nothing also, but we know he's going to be there. The next one is Quentin Grimes, who I am very interested to see what they do. They could, in theory, start him. There's Maxey, there's George, there's Embiid, right? Those guys are going to start. There's Oubre. He's probably going to start. Now, the other spot, last game, Gershon Yabusele did not play. It was Justin Edwards in that spot. But does Yabusele start? Does Grimes start? Does it matter? Does Nick Nurse just run a heavy 6-man grouping where Grimes plays 35 minutes? If Grimes gets on the Nick Nurse minutes plan, he's going to be a must-roster player. I like Quentin Grimes a lot. I think you know that. But I'm going to need 30 out of him to get there. But in a day like this, I'm interested. Cam Whitmore was another interesting one. Why is Cam Whitmore interesting? I realized I just said I was going to do something before and didn't do it. So we'll come back to that. I was talking about injuries. I'll do that in a second. I'll just give you this little spiel on Cameron Whitmore because we know what he's going to do and we know he's going to score. That is what he does. And we also know that the number one individual stat that gives you fantasy points is points. It's just obvious. When the league average or a fantasy league average of rebounds is 6 and that's second behind points being 17, well, scoring is the most important thing. It's the easiest thing to do. It is the easiest thing to generate numbers. Yes? So Whitmore's ability to do that makes him way more valuable in a point setting than in a category setting. The other names, I'll talk about those injuries now. So I don't know whether Josh Green's going to play. He sat the last game. We don't know whether the traded players, Dalton Connect and Jusuf Nurkic, are going to play for Charlotte. LaMelo Ball, not sure. Josh Green, not sure. Cade Cunningham missed the last game for the Pistons. He's been upgraded to Pro Bowl, so that's a W. And it's questionable whether Schroeder or Lindy Waters, the Hall Pass legend, are available for the Pistons. And then for the Bucks, Giannis has missed 3 straight. There's no way he's playing both of these games, so be aware of that. Kevin Porter coming in off the trade, and then Gershon Yabusele being questionable for the Sixers after missing the last game. They're the statuses that we don't know yet. The other 2 names on my Yahoo Points streaming list are Malik Beasley, who went absolutely bonkers in the last game. We saw that. We've seen Leaky Beasley do this. We know what he is. He's a very up and down player. He's a guy that's going to be peaking and troughing, and sometimes it's to do with someone being there, and sometimes it's to do with them not being there, and sometimes it's just nonsense. That's just what happens, right? Last game, we can look at it and go, well, Cade wasn't there, so that's why he went off. But I guess sure, but that's not always how he works, because he will have the big pop-off game at any point. But This is also the approach on a Sunday too. What are you trying to do? Are you desperation swinging and you need to come back from a deficit? Well, you want to take the high ceiling player. Are you trying to make sure you maintain a lead? Well, you don't want to get someone who might have 2 points. You want the stability of getting a 25 fantasy point guy who's got no 35 point upside, but probably doesn't give you 9. Right? If you look at Leaky Beasley's game log, what did he have last game? Fantasy points, 40. The game before, 5. What? Okay. The game before that, with Cade, 32, 36, 11, 28, 29, 30, 19, 25, 23, 3. Yeah, it's a pretty wide range. So if we go back to the 16th of January, we've got a range between 3 and 40 with 2 games under 6. That's crazy, right? That is what he is. The last name on that list is Dalton Connect. I do believe that Dalton Connect is going to be available for Charlotte. I don't know that for sure. And much like Malik Beasley, there is one thing that, much like Cam Whitmore, there is one thing that Dalton Connect does, and that is score. And he will get more opportunities to score. He will get the ability to do that with Charlotte. Whether he starts or not, I don't know. There is Nick Smith. There is Josh Green, whether he plays. There is Miles Bridges. He's not going to come in and get every usage opportunity. Maybe that happens in 4 weeks' time. But still, I like him in this particular position. Today's episode is brought to you by Skims. Skims Men's, but also brought to you by Skims Pets, apparently. When I found out that Skims was making underwear for pets, or products for pets, well, I almost fell out of my chair, but that's not what this ad is about. It's about making underwear for men because we all love to keep ourselves comfortable, secure. We love to give our boys a house, and that is where Skims Men's can come in. You've heard about Skims and their quality from your family, from your friends, from your secret, sneaky perusing of certain reality TV shows. Maybe you've heard of it. Well, Skims Men's is here now, and you can have issues with other types of underwear. We've all had it. We've got a pair of jocks, we put them on and go, bloody hell, what is this? Why is it itchy? Why can't I feel comfortable? Why am I not getting the support that I want? Well, Skims has so many different options. The boxer briefs, the regular boxes, the support, the material, the cotton, the stretchy running short stuff, all of that, the colors, it's all there on Skims. They are unbelievable. They are perfect for an active lifestyle. They're perfect for a fat ass lifestyle like me as well. Sitting down, but it's comfortable because we got to have comfort. So shop Skims Men's at skims.com and at Skims Store. So let them know that we sent you. After you place your order, you select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. And if you're looking for the perfect gift for your Valentine or for yourself, Skims just launched their best Valentine shop ever. It's available in sizes for women and men and kids and, of course, pets. Go to Skims Men's or skims.com. Check it out. I did the thing before where we only had 3 games and a little bit of streaming to talk about, so for some reason I just went extra long talking about Yahoo Points, but that's okay. I'm going to go not as long talking about ESPN Points because honestly, it's exactly the same list. If you fast forwarded to find the ESPN Points discussion, just go back and listen to me talk about it on Yahoo. It's the same thing. It's Diabate, it's Brooks, Grimes, Leaky Beasley, Cameron Whitmore, and Dalton Connect. It is the same 6 players who I think profile as the best available options to stream on ESPN Points. But of course, your individual league is different because you will have different players available. And I don't know that. I don't know who is available. You know who does know who's available? Basketball Monster. We know because we can connect to your league and you can just push the update button, which updates automatically every day anyway. And when you go into the projections and the daily projections, it shows you like who's available and who's not. So it actually does tell you that. But I can't tell you that sitting here, unfortunately for you guys. But they are the same 6 names: Diabate, Brooks, Grimes, Beasley, Whitmore, and Dalton Connect. I don't know about you, but when I go to type Cam Whitmore, I don't know how often you type Cam Whitmore. I type it a bit because it's my job. But I always type Whitemore. I don't know why. It always just comes out. It's like the other one that I always do on that is D'Angelo Russell. For some reason, it's always type him out as D'Angelo. You may have even seen a typing mistake on some of the shows. For some reason, I add that extra R at the end of the D'Angelo as I'm ready to type Russell. D'Angelo Russell. I don't know. Maybe that's him. Maybe that's his evil twin, D'Angelo. We're streaming points category now. This is for category leagues. We're streaming in who I think is going to be the best available scoring options for Sunday with those 3 games on. A lot of those same names, as you know, points translate to fantasy points. So it's a lot of the guys I just talked about in the fantasy points streaming. Leaky Beasley. That is the high variance guy. Actually, the next guy's a high variance guy as well. And the next guy's a high variance guy as well. Actually, they're nearly all high variance guys. They're not actually. The bottom one's not so much. But the others are pretty high variance. Leaky Beasley, Dylan Brooks, Cam Whitmore, who could have 27 points on 22 shots with 1 rebound. But that's points. Dalton Connect, again, don't know if he's going to play. I expect that he does, but I don't know. And then his new teammate, Nick Smith Jr., who is like Dylan Brooks / Malik Beasley incarnate. I guess the difference is that he gets assists somewhat, Nick Smith. And his value would rise, I'm guessing, if LaMelo is out, although he was pretty good last game with LaMelo there. But it will get complicated when Connect is available. But Nick Smith is a points guy. But we all talk. Are you trying to hit the lead? Are you trying to protect the lead? Are you trying to take over? Are you trying to defend? Security for the defenders, high upside for the attackers. I think that's a good... Now, you don't have to do it that way, of course. Like, you can say, well, I'm leading, I'll take Leaky Beasley. If it hits, I've got no hope of being caught. Right? That's another way to do it. I prefer to play it somewhat safe. I'm not going to go into full prevent defense, but it's a way to do it. The last name on this list is probably a little bit safer, and that's Quentin Grimes. I don't expect 30 points out of him. I expect he gets like 10 to 15. Narrower range. Not like that Leaky Beasley type of range that we just talked about in the fantasy points section, where he's had a 3 fantasy point game and a 40 fantasy point game, which of course is just, not very good. It's not very good in terms of trying to predict what he's going to bring, but that high upside is there. Whereas Grimes, it's definitely not the same sort of a story. He's able to be a bit more consistent in what he does, although in saying that, he had a 0-point game not long ago, but we've got 14, 11, 0, 17, 9, 20, 9, 5, 5, 14, 10. It's a little bit more secure. And in terms of his fantasy point numbers, they're generally, we're not talking fantasy points here, but we're generally pretty secure on that. 3-pointers. Leaky Beasley at the top. It can easily hit 9 of them. We've seen it many times. Dylan Brooks hit 10, a week ago, or at the start of this week. This is a man that is going to play big minutes. Could play 37, could play 32, but he's going to start. And that's another one of those things. How does the floor value come in? Well, it comes in from playing starters minutes or feeling confident that someone is going to play starters minutes, because that's a different thing. Like, someone could start and you go, well, do they play 18 or 30? Dalton Connect, I think, is a 3-point option. We've seen him under JJ Redick get red hot, hit 7 threes and play extra minutes. Now, I think his leash should be a little bit different in Charlotte, as in longer, but he's still got that ability. Nick Smith, Tim Hardaway. Now, Tim Hardaway is probably the most boom or bust guy here. I wish he would give us 5 big booms, but he doesn't always. But he could hit 7 of them. He could have literally 0 points and still play 28 minutes somehow. One of the more streaky blokes in the NBA. And that's on a list with Beasley, Brooks, and Smith. And then Quentin Grimes is there. A lot of the same names. Again, we've only got 3 games on. Only 6 teams playing. So we are going to get a lot of crossover with these names. Rebounding is a little bit different. And the number 1 name on this list is Moussa Diabate. Now, you'll notice that when I said to stream in points, Diabate isn't there. Him getting to double-digit scoring would be an absolute miracle most of the time. He is a Reggie Evans clone. He's not quite as deficient offensively as Reggie Evans, but he doesn't do anything. The man just rebounds and defends. And that's useful for a lot of people in fantasy. He's going to be a real high upside rebound player. So he's your number 1. The next one is noted Sane legend Isaiah Stewart, who will get his 20 minutes or so, but you'll notice that the rebounding streaming ability on Sunday is marginal. There's not much. It's worse for assists. Let me trust me on that. It's way worse when streaming in assists. But for rebounds, it's a little rough. So if you don't have Diabate, and if you haven't watched my All-Star break fantasy matchup preview show, you'll note that Charlotte is talked about a lot because they have an unbelievably good schedule. So your Diabates, who's an excellent rebound stream for Sunday, is an unbelievable grab for now. Same with Connect for those different categories. But after Diabate, it's Isaiah Stewart, who, if Duran gets into foul trouble, maybe plays 26 minutes. Otherwise, he's at 19. The next one is Quentin Grimes, and he's a pretty good rebounder, but he's playing alongside Paul George and Joel Embiid. So maybe he gets 5. Then it's Steven Adams, and the risk with Steven Adams... Now, he did play in their last back-to-back. But what if he doesn't play? What if he is... Now, he started the second half of Saturday's game as well, over Tari Eason. That's something to watch. He could have 11 rebounds if he played 26 minutes. Or he could literally play 0 minutes. I don't really know how to view where he's at with his ankle/knee at the moment. The next one is Tijan Salaam. I don't know how many minutes they're going to give Salaam, but what if they sit Bridges in the first game of a back-to-back? Salaam starts, he gets 7 rebounds, he shoots 22% on 2s, but he gets rebounds. And the last name is Dylan Brooks, who, again, it's one of those ones that, is he going to be a double-digit guy? Absolutely not. But just from playing 33 or 34 minutes, you might get 5 out of him. It's a very, very rough situation in terms of getting rebounds in. We're going to talk assists, steals, blocks, field goals, and free throws. Before we do that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The NBA season is ready to take over the collective consciousness. And, well, there's no better place to get in on that action than with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. You can place live bets on FanDuel all throughout every NBA game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off, you can bet on anything during the game, or you want to see what's going on in a fourth quarter comeback, well, you can lay that bet down as well, including combining your live bets into a same-game parlay. You're never going to miss a chance, because even if you miss it, there is still action all the way through each NBA game. And right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just go to FanDuel.com to join today. That is FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Okay, let's take a look at assists. And I hope you don't need assists. I'll say that much. I hope you are not there. Ooh, I really need to get a lot of assists in to win my week this week, because you are going to be up the old creek, aren't you? Not looking good. Not looking good at all. Jamal Shed might be your best assist guy, who is the unquestioned backup point guard in Toronto. Emmanuel Quickley's minutes went up to like 28 last game, and Davion Mitchell is now down in Miami. Shed had already taken over for Mitchell, by the way. But like, this is a 5 assist upside play, I guess. And then we get into the troubling realization that the next guy we look at is maybe Reed Shepherd. There's no Fred VanVleet. So Shepherd's going to play a little bit, but like, I'm looking at their game on Saturday, he's played 7 minutes. Like, that's obviously not very much. They basically went point guardless. Or they used Amen Thompson as the only point guard. So this is where it gets rough. But he could have 6. Maybe. Nick Smith. Nick Smith would jump to the top of this list, and KJ Simpson would join him if LaMelo sits the first game of back-to-back. So watch that. Quentin Grimes has probably got like 3 assist upside, maybe? 4? Aaron Holiday, like, he literally might not play. He's played 3 minutes in this game, with 3 minutes left in the game against the Mavericks. They just went away from him completely. But I don't know. It is how rough it is. And then there's KJ Simpson, who is going to be behind Smith and Ball. And you're going to have Connect trying to get minutes in there. So Smith will split some of his shooting guard minutes to point guard. But if Simpson plays 20, he could. He might have 5. If he plays 26, he might have 9. If he plays 30, who knows? He's an interesting name, but that one could go very wrong. So could the Aaron Holiday one, of course. Not a great list. Steals, which is an eminently streamable category. We are noticing that all the time. It is right up there with threes, and not far behind is free throw percentage, to be honest, in terms of categories that we can get off the wire. Number 1, and I know he's a big man, but Moussa Diabate is not a shot blocker. Moussa Diabate is a stealser. That's not a real word, but that's what he does. Think about other big men who fit into this legendary category, like Andre Drummond. Never been a huge shot blocker, but was always a good steals guy. Bam Adebayo is a little bit like that as well. He's not a great defensive stat guy in general, but steals over blocks. That's what Diabate does. Reed Shepherd, excellent per minute steals guy. How many minutes does he play? I don't know. Dylan Brooks, Aaron Holiday, again, incredibly risky. Tijan Salin, hopefully he does something. And Quentin Grimes is another option for you in terms of streaming in steals. If you thought that was rough, what about streaming in blocks? Isaiah Stewart, maybe a 2-block guy. Moussa Diabate, whose minutes are probably going to be there, but he doesn't really do that. The wiki Chris Boucher, what if he doesn't play? Now, Jakob Poeltl is out. So John Mogbo is going to jump up. Now, when I created this show, when I started recording, I didn't know that Poeltl was out, but now he is. So we've got that information. Oh, interesting. Keyshawn George just got ruled out for Saturday. Okay. Yeah, all right. So Poeltl is out. So that means Mogbo moves into your rebound category, moves into your steal category, moves into your block category. John Mogbo, a name that I haven't mentioned yet. John Mogbo, because Poeltl is out. Boucher is in the block number. Reed Shepherd, a bit of a random block guy, but he can do it. Cam Whitmore might get you 1, and then O'Shea Abaji might get you 1. But again, Mogbo. I just keep saying Mogbo because I haven't put him on any graphic yet because the Pirtle stuff just came through. So Mogbo is worth having a look at. Rebounds, steals, blocks, Mogbo. In fact, I might put Mogbo on the thumbnail of this video so that you remember John Mogbo is an option. For field goal percentage, we'll put Mogbo on this one as well. But Moussa Diabate is at the top, Steven Adams, Isaiah Stewart, and Andre Jackson Jr. And why is there only 4 names? Well, when I was looking at my projections for tomorrow, there were only 4 guys who projected to have a better than neutral field goal percentage. Everyone else that I saw on there who was available in over 60% of leagues was likely to hurt your field goals. And even Andre Jackson could do that. He's a very risky one. But I'll throw Mogbo onto that list now as well. That there is, he's likely going to start, I would say. For free throws, there are a lot more options. Grade A Dick. That's what he does. And Najee Barrett is also out in Toronto. Dylan Brooks. Aaron Holiday, whose name just keeps coming up, but I wouldn't trust it at all. Tim Hardaway. Dalton Connect. And Reed Shepherd. And that is a Super Bowl Sunday daily look ahead. Only the 3 games on. They're all early games. Get your lineup set, get everything sorted out, and then you can settle in and watch the Super Bowl with your favorite food. Hit the thumb on this video as well. That would be great. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. And subscribe to yourself. I know that sounds stupid, but remember, just do something good. Do a good thing. Or recognize what you've already done that's good. Let's keep the vibes positive. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.